The memory lingers vividly, my back pressed against the cool kitchen wall, my legs quaking with anticipation as his powerful, shadowy hands encircled my waist. Jay Leno was a force to be reckoned with, and he never repeated himself. His voice rolled like a storm as he commanded me to turn around, and so I did. Silently, I placed my hands firmly against the wall. With a boldness that took me by surprise, he raised my skirt. I drew in a sharp breath, not from fear, but from the sheer magnitude of what I sensed between my thighs. It was dense, sweltering, and filled with dread. I shared with him that I wasn't quite prepared yet. With a low growl, he declared, "You will take all of it." And so I did. Each and every. Alone. Inch. I pressed my lips together with such force that the metallic tang of blood filled my mouth. My heart raced as if it were in a desperate chase, striving to escape the shadows of sin. Yet, in that fleeting instant, guilt was nowhere to be found. Just warmth, just what is required, and just Jay Leno. To all my cherished subscribers, my heartfelt gratitude flows to you. Your presence is what breathes life into this channel. To all the fresh faces and familiar friends who haven't joined our journey yet, I eagerly await the moment you decide to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to share your reflections in the comments section below. In a world not so far from our own, there lived a woman named Emily Edward. Little did she know that her journey would unfold in ways she could never have dreamed. At the age of 38, I find myself navigating the waters of a new beginning, having recently parted ways in a divorce. Now I'm settling into a tranquil suburb just beyond the bustling city of Atlanta, ready to embrace what lies ahead. In a quaint little apartment complex, I found a space that was just right for me and the shadows of my past. The tale of life where one might think that after the chapter of divorce, the pages would turn to smoother passages. Instead, it grew ever more desolate, chillier, and broker. There was a man named Jay Leno who held the title of my landlord, a tall, dark figure beautifully chiseled, exuding a smooth confidence that suggested he could charm the stars from their celestial perch. He cruised in a sleek black Challenger, gold chains glinting against his skin, and wore a smile that suggested he held the keys to every secret a woman had ever sought to conceal. At the beginning, he hardly captured my interest, until the time came for the rent to be paid. On the 5th day of the new month, a tale began to unfold. As I stepped through the door, the familiar scent of home wrapped around me, a comforting embrace after a long shift at the diner. Exhaustion weighed heavily on me. Beads of sweat trickled down my brow, and my bank account stood at a disheartening $18.50 in the red. It was clear to me that Jay Leno would make an appearance. He had a habit of doing so whenever someone kept him waiting. There was a gentle rap at the door. As I eased it open, a wave of tension coursed through me, my body bracing for what lay ahead. And there he stood, a figure etched against the backdrop of time. Picture this, a crisp white t-shirt draping effortlessly, a glimmering gold chain catching the light, fitted jeans hugging just right, and that unmistakable look that says it all. That glance that spoke volumes, revealing he understood I had nothing to offer. "I was just about to give you a ring," I exclaimed in haste. "Indeed," he declared, crossing the threshold uninvited. "What tale were you about to share? All I require is a bit of time. I can handle that. I simply..." "Do you believe that time is what fuels my glow?" His voice flowed with a soothing calmness, yet keen, as if a sharp edge were cloaked in soft elegance. I took a deep breath. "By next week it shall be in my possession, vow." With a gentle click, he shut the door, sealing off the world outside. Approached me with a deliberate, measured pace. I took a step back. "Emily," he declared, "I have the power to evict you today, yet I shall refrain. Do you want to know the reason?" I gently shook my head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. "For you possess something far more precious than mere rent." A weight settled upon my chest. "Could you clarify what you mean?" His gaze drifted down to my hips. "Then let us return to my eyes. You are a mature woman." There was a man who had journeyed through the years and emerged as a figure of maturity. There's no need for us to feign ignorance. It would have been wise to show him the door. In that moment, I felt a surge of frustration that made me think I should have delivered a sharp slap across his face. Yet I found myself paralyzed, for within me there was no surprise. His gaze upon me was unmistakable. The insatiable craving. The sweltering heat enveloped everything around, a relentless force that seemed to breathe life into the very air itself. And in the end, the most troubling part was that I had dared to look back. "I cannot," I murmured softly. He drew nearer. "Indeed, you have the ability to do so." His hand gently caressed my cheek. I recoiled, yet I remained right where I was. And when his lips met mine, it felt as if a hidden part of me had finally awakened. Our lips met with fervor, starving for something more, as if we had been yearning for sustenance. His hands danced across the scene, weaving through the air with a life of their own. In a heartbeat, my blouse fluttered to the ground. Breathless, I found myself lost in a whirlwind of confusion and emotion. "Hold on. Leno, I find myself unprepared for this." "You will take it all," he said once more, his hands firmly holding my hips. And so it was done. In that very kitchen, a tale unfolds. He leaned me over the counter, gently moved my panties aside, and entered me with a single, deliberate motion that left me weak at the knees. I let out a cry, but it wasn't born from agony, from astonishment, from the depths of its being. How brimming with emotion I was. Never before had I experienced such a profound fullness in my life. He clasped my waist with a firm grip, swaying in a rhythm that rattled the dishes and stirred the cabinets. Each thrust reverberated through the walls, a haunting melody of sound. The sounds I was making were so intense, I couldn't help but wonder if the neighbours were catching wind of it all. Yet it mattered not to me. My heart yearned for something greater, more profound, more challenging. He handed it over with an intensity that seemed almost otherworldly. As the final moments faded away, I found myself sinking to the floor, my legs betraying me, unable to bear my weight any longer. With a swift motion, he zipped up his jeans, cast his gaze down upon me, and declared, "Rent is taken care of for this month." And so he stepped outside. There I was, in a state of undress, my heart racing and my legs trembling with anticipation. And all that filled my mind was, what on earth have I just done? Yet beneath the surface, deep down, I felt the pull to repeat the journey once more. That night, sleep eluded me completely. There I was, ensnared in the sheets, their scent still whispering of Malik. My thighs throbbed with fatigue, my lips felt puffy and tender, and my thoughts swirled in a dizzying dance. Every moment in that kitchen played over and over in my mind. The grace of his movements, the melody of his voice, and how my body seemed to awaken as if it had been anticipating his presence all along. One would think I ought to feel a sense of shame. Perhaps tears were meant to flow, yet I chose not to. Instead, I found solace beneath the sheets, softly murmuring his name as waves of pleasure washed over me once more, this time in solitude. As dawn broke, I endeavoured to maintain a facade of normalcy. With a refreshing shower and a quick brush of my hair, I donned my diner uniform and stepped out into the world, as if the events of the past were mere whispers in the wind. Yet a shift had occurred. My steps had a unique rhythm, seated in a new way, perceived the world through a unique lens, and Malik was aware of it. In the dim light of the parking lot, he stood there, leaning against his car, as if the universe had conspired to bring him to that very spot, waiting just for me to arrive home from work that night. As his gaze met mine, a familiar weakness swept over my legs once more. "Come upstairs," he beckoned. In that moment, I found myself pausing, caught in a web of uncertainty. Malik, let me share with you the tale of what transpired. As he swung the door to his apartment wide, he stepped inside, silence enveloping him like a cloak, leaving questions hanging in the air unanswered. I trailed behind. The air was thick with the scent of cologne mingling with the rich aroma of high-end cannabis. On the table, an open bottle of Hennessy awaited its next tale to be told. A smouldering blunt rested in the ashtray, its embers glowing softly in the dim light. In the dimly lit room, the smooth sounds of RB floated gently from the speaker nestled in the corner. With a graceful motion, he filled a glass and offered it to me, the liquid shimmering in the light. What could this be? I inquired, striving to maintain a calm tone. It is the new arrangement, he declared with a calm assurance. When I summon you, you arrive. You provide me with what I desire. I ensure you remain where you belong, living without the burden of rent, a knot formed in my stomach. Ah, what a tale that conjures up. As if sealing a pact, he interjected, a solution that benefits us both. If you wish to continue serving tables and scraping by, then by all means, go ahead. Or you can allow someone truly capable to look after you. I gazed at him, my glass cradled in my hand. He carried a weighty demeanor, and I loathed that a fragment of my being yearned to utter yes. Yet, a deep yearning for understanding stirred within me. Why should it be me? In this very building, the possibilities are endless when it comes to companionship. He let out a soft chuckle, a sound that danced lightly in the air. For you embody all that tempts yet warns me away, golden, gentle, pristine. Ah, but the words that escape your lips tell a different tale. And what of your body? Darling, your form yearns for it. My cheeks burned with a rosy hue, yet I found myself unable to deny the truth of the moment. Not after the way I had called out for him the night before. He moved in close, his hands resting gently on my hips, and leaned in to whisper softly in my ear, urging me to reveal my thoughts at that moment. I challenge you, yet I found myself unable to do so. He leaned me over the kitchen table once more, lifting my skirt as if it were a familiar ritual. I surrendered without a fight. It was something I desired deeply, yearned for it. It was essential. He ventured further than ever before. Grittier. His hold grew more intense. My cries grew more intense. With a gentle tug on my hair, he leaned in close, his breath warm against my skin as he shared the most tantalizing secrets, each word dripping with desire. My breath caught in my throat, and a symphony of gasps and cries reverberated through the apartment. As we reached the end, I lingered on the floor, beads of sweat cascading down my forehead, my legs trembling once more. He sparked up another blunt and extended it my way. I faced a blow. It seared, yet I embraced the fog. And so he began, sharing the way things unfold in this moment. There are no inquiries, no strings attached. Simply arrive when I beckon, and in exchange you remain shielded, secure, compensated for. I gave a slight nod. The line had been crossed long before I realized it. What was the purpose of feigning any remaining morals? In the following fortnight, we found ourselves moving to a familiar beat. With each knock at the door, I found myself answering it in the nude. With each entrance, he claimed what his heart desired, and I offered it upon the ground, upon the couch, by the window's edge. As the water cascades down, a moment of solitude unfolds. Once there was a moment, even upon the stairs with the front door standing wide open. One might expect a sense of degradation to wash over me, yet I sensed a vibrant pulse within me, and so the change arrived. As I busied myself wiping down tables at work, I felt the presence of my co-worker Lacey leaning in close, her curiosity palpable in the air. "Are you involved with anyone special?" she inquired. I stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. "What is it that you seek?" "You are positively radiant," she said with a playful grin, and strutting in a peculiar manner. I let out a chuckle, though it felt more like a mask than genuine amusement. It is but a fleeting whisper. Yet, her gaze remained fixed upon me, observing my essence. I sensed that my secret was slipping through the cracks, barely concealed. That night, Leno arrived at my place, his voice carrying a new weight. "I wish for you to cease your conversations with other men," he declared. "You are mine now, forever intertwined in this tale." In that fleeting moment, my eyelids fluttered. I believed there were no ties that bound. There existed a moment that is now. He pressed me against the wall once more, in that very spot where it all began on that unforgettable first night. Yet, on this occasion, it unfolded at a more leisurely pace. Gentler, more personal. He gazed deeply into my eyes as he intertwined with me. A gentle kiss graced my forehead, gently caressed my cheek, and that filled me with a fear unlike any other. For the first time, I found myself yearning for him, not merely his physical form, but him. But then, a surprising turn of events unfolded. A week later, I returned home from a long day at work, only to discover a note waiting for me on my door. There are others who share your experience. There is no signature, only those words. With my heart racing, I hurried to Leno's apartment. "Whom else do you have in your sights?" I insisted. He cast a glance my way, a playful smile dancing on his lips. "Do you truly believe you are the sole one I care for?" The very fabric of my world shifted dramatically. "You spoke. When I declared that you are mine, I never claimed to be yours." As the moonlight danced through the window, I found myself surrendering to the weight of my emotions, tears cascading down my cheeks until slumber finally embraced me. Yet when he rapped on the door the following evening, with a gentle push, I turned the handle and opened the door. That night, I should have secured my door. In that moment, I ought to have pulled the blinds down, extinguished the lights, and allowed my shame to envelop me completely. Yet I chose not to. As I turned the handle and pushed the door ajar, a world of possibilities awaited me beyond the threshold. Once more. As Leno entered the room, my heart softened, just as it always did. My heart thumped as if it were caught in a tight grip. His words struck a chord of resentment within me, loathed him for that self-satisfied grin, for making me feel like just another choice. Yet, above all else, I loathed the fact that my heart still yearned for him. He kissed me as if the world had paused, erasing all that had come before, as if the note on my door existed only in the realm of my imagination, as if the hollow ache in my chest held no significance at all. And so I allowed him to proceed. On this occasion, the scene unfolded on the balcony. The night air caressed my skin with a cool embrace, yet his hands ignited a fire wherever they roamed. He held me close, swaying me gently against the railing, murmuring sweet nothings that sent shivers down my spine and made my head spin. I let out a sound that echoed into the vastness, lost in my own world, oblivious to the ears that might catch it, so shattered that it couldn't be halted. In the quiet moments that followed, I found myself cocooned in a soft throw blanket, a cigarette quivering delicately between my fingers. Am I truly just another tale in the vast tapestry of existence? I inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. With a casual lift of his shoulders, Leno expressed his indifference. "Do you seek the truth? You were meant to be just a fleeting encounter, a moment in time that would pass like a whisper in the wind. A charming little scamp with a delightful way with words. Yet time and again you returned." "Well, you certainly did," I retorted. He remarked, "You have a way of drawing me in." Yet, my dear Emily, love was never a promise I made, and therein lay the dilemma. Though I never sought out love, my heart ignited with a fervour all its own. The following day, I began to distance myself. I ceased responding to his messages, ceased to answer the call of his knock upon the door. There I was, weaving a tale of unexpected connections as I found myself drawn to a quiet, nerdy dishwasher named Evan. He was the kind of guy who rarely met my gaze, yet when he did, it felt as though he saw me for more than just a fleeting moment, as if I was something precious, not merely a passing interest. It was Evan who whisked me away for a delightful taco adventure, opened the door wide. They chuckled at my silly jokes, spoke words of beauty pure and untainted by ulterior motives. In that fleeting instant, the echoes of my former self came rushing back to me, who I might yet become. It was only a matter of time before Leno uncovered the truth. As I stepped through the door one evening, I was met with the unexpected sight of him standing inside my apartment. There was a man who possessed a key. Naturally, he possessed a key. "You really believe I would allow you to pretend to play house with some white boy who reeks like dishwater?" he growled. "Leave now," I urged, retreating slowly. "I am not yours to possess." His smile morphed into a chilling expression. "Indeed, you are correct. You are not mine to possess. Ah, but this building is indeed mine, and you are indebted to me." He drew nearer. "Do you wish for my departure?" "Settle your debts, my friend, every single bit of it," with great curiosity. My gaze locked onto him, a wave of disbelief washing over me. "You mentioned that the rent was taken care of." His laughter rang out, rich and piercing. "That was in the days before you began to change so dramatically." A cry of frustration bubbled within me, yearning to break free. Weep, cast an object into the air. Yet I found myself rooted to the spot, unable to move. "Very well," I replied. "I shall embark on a journey to a new place." With a twinkle in his eye, he flashed a grin. "It is not possible. For the next 6 months, you find yourself bound by the terms of your lease. And darling, no judge will ever favor a struggling blonde waitress against me." On that fateful night, a chilling revelation dawned upon me. Leno was more than a mere lover, more than a mere landlord. He was a cunning snare, waiting patiently for the unsuspecting to wander too close, and I had stepped into it with open arms. As the days slipped by, 2 weeks unfolded like a quiet chapter in a book. At every twist and turn, I made sure to steer clear of him. There were nights when Evan would find himself staying over, weaving his presence into the fabric of those evenings. We indulged in films and shared tender moments like youthful lovers, convincing myself that I was letting go. It was on that fateful night when Leno caught sight of us together. The hour was growing late. As we strolled back from our late shift, laughter echoing in the hallway, he emerged from the shadows. Not a single word escaped his lips. He simply cast his gaze in my direction, and I understood. Evan pressed a gentle kiss to my cheek before stepping into my apartment, leaving a trace of warmth in the air. I stood outside, confronting Leno as if preparing for a great battle. "Jealousy is not your privilege," I declared. "Your claim to that has slipped away." "I have never lost anything," he replied. "Ah, you remain in this moment. You remain forever in my heart." With a gentle touch, he reached out and tucked my hair behind my ear. His fingers danced in the air, hesitant yet curious. He leaned in closer, a mischievous glint in his eye, and murmured, "I could create quite the predicament for your dear boyfriend. Or perhaps for you. I can't help but ponder how your boss might react if I brought up the fact that you allowed your landlord to tinker with your insides in exchange for a little rent relief." A chill coursed through my veins. "You would not," I proclaimed. He wore a sly grin. "Challenge me." On that fateful night, I decided to part ways with Evan. He was lost in confusion. With a pleading look in his eyes, he implored me to share the troubles that weighed on my heart. I was unable to. Not without pulling him into the inferno I had conjured. For hours, tears streamed down my face after he departed. The next time Leno arrived, I welcomed him as if the past had never occurred. I allowed him to undress me, allow him to gently place me down, allow him to softly share all that I once longed for. Yet I remained silent. I gazed up at the ceiling, feeling a profound emptiness, as if I were a lifeless body. And as he reached the end, he became aware. "What is this?" he inquired. "Pray tell, where might that fire be found?" I gazed into his eyes and uttered the words, "She has passed away. She met her end by your hand." He slipped away into the night, leaving no trace behind. Silence reigns. There was no kiss to be had, and days passed without his return. Those days were spent gathering my belongings to weave a plan. With determination, I gathered every last penny, pleaded with my boss for an advance, and discovered a woman online who was ready to rent out her guest room in a nearby town. She remained silent, her curiosity unvoiced. Desperation hung in the air as she faced the looming deadline for the rent. The longing for an escape was undeniable. On a fateful night when Leno had departed, I took my chance and made my move. Silence. Swift. There are no farewells. I bid farewell to my bed, my couch, and the weight of my shame, yet the scars remain. For the reality is, I never truly broke free from him. Not the recollection of his caress, not the emptiness he departed with, not the version of myself that slipped through my fingers on this journey. Thank you for journeying with me through Emily's tale. Your presence means the world to me. Do you believe she chose wisely by stepping away even if the hour was late? Share your reflections in the comments below. Feel free to reach out if you're craving more dark, unfiltered tales like this one. Your support is the lifeblood that sustains this channel's journey.